Hey everybody, it's Aunt Bibi. Today is Thursday, October 24th, 2019. I'm Barb Hammer. So today I want to talk about Hong Kong and Catalonia and how I'm seeing a lot of similarities between the two, and there's a definite connection there. Um, Now, they're not exactly alike, but I'm seeing something in Catalonia. It looks like it's orchestrated from the outside. It's not a authentic grassroots movement, or at least what's going on now. Um, so I've been watching. I'm not making a snap judgment. I've been keeping my eye on Catalonia, and then suddenly things started happening there. The protests started up all of a sudden. Um, so I'm seeing a lot of things that lead me to believe that the Catalan independence movement has been hijacked. So it's been turned into a color revolution, a regime change operation, destabilization campaign, like in Hong Kong. Now, Hong Kong is a city, it's a special administrative region. It has an autonomous status within China. And Catalonia is an autonomous community or region in Spain. It is part of Spain. It has autonomy, and it is considered a nationality. The Catalans are considered a nationality, and they speak a distinct language that is sort of in between Spanish and French. And I'm just giving you a little background information. There's French Catalonia too, on the other side of the Pyrenees, on the other side of the border. So I'll just show you, just so you know what I'm talking about, because not everybody knows where Catalonia is. So this is Spain, and these are all the different regions of Spain. And Catalonia is right there. Yeah, and that's the flag. So Catalonia is that region. So and then just north of here is French Catalonia, and I have actually been there. I visited when I was 21. I've visited. I was in Perpignan, and I think in Catalan it's like Perpignan or something like that. I don't know. So these are all the regions of Spain. So there is an independence movement now. So Catalonia does have a long history of uh, often being separate from Spain, and they have a history of being autonomous from Spain. And so I've been aware of the Catalan autonomous movement, or I don't know if it's really, or independence movement. I've been aware of the Catalan identity, and anyway, so that's Catalonia. So in Okay, so today there was a rally. There were rallies in support for each other. So in Hong Kong, uh, they held a rally. So yeah. So first I'd seen this poster. So this is for the Hong Kong rally that was held today, and yeah. And they had the image. So they have, this is the Bahania flower. It's an orchid. That's the symbol of Hong Kong. And then this is the Catalan flag. And this is the cathedral in Barcelona. I believe that's what that image there is. Yeah. And it says hashtag stand with Hong Kong, hashtag stand with Catalonia. United, we stand against tyranny. So it's in English and Chinese. And then later, a very, very um, similar, very, it's the same sort of design. If you look at them both, it's the same kind of design. Like there are differences, of course, but it's the same sort of design. So this was the poster that was being circulated in Barcelona, I guess, for the rally there, Catalonia, Hong Kong. And there's the Bauhinia flower, that orchid, the symbol of Hong Kong, and the Catalan flag. And they have it in Catalan solidarity with Hong Kong, I guess. And they held it at the consulate, the Chinese consulate, the consulate of China. So that's in Catalan. And they had the hashtag stand up. So their hashtag was stand up for Catalonia, hashtag stand with Hong Kong. And they gave the organizations who sponsored it, so there are a couple of NGOs, there are a number of NGOs involved in the Catalan independence movement. But what was interesting about the Hong Kong poster, there was I don't see organizations on there, so I'm not quite sure who had organized the rally, but I've been seeing a lot of the protest or terrorist or riot ringleaders in Hong Kong talking about Catalonia. So Denise Ho's talking about Catalonia, and Joshua Wong, and I think Nathan Law, and they don't talk about Haiti or Chile or Ecuador or the Yellow Vest movement. They don't talk about those things. Yeah, they're talking about Catalonia. So that just kind of tips me off. There's something going on. I don't know. There's a lot of things that tip me off that something's not quite right. So anyway, there's this video. So I was aware of this video some months ago. And Luca, an Italian fellow on Twitter, he has a couple of accounts, and he tags me sometimes with some things about color revolutions or orchestrated campaigns in Europe, I guess, mainly. So I was aware of this video, Help Catalonia Save Europe. And it is modeled after. So they have kind of used the similar sort of format as this video. I am Ukrainian. And this was made at the end. This was made for the Maidan Revolution in Ukraine during the winter of 2013-2014. It's a propaganda film. These are both propaganda films. I mean, it's pretty obvious when you're watching them. So it was, so there's a young woman. Anyway, I think I'll play this. I've got the captioning on, and I've turned the volume down. I've had some problems with audio and videos, but I think I can play this. And they're not too long. They're interesting. So anyway, I'm making this connection between Hong Kong and Ukraine. Hong Kong is modeled after the Maidan Revolution. And then Catalonia is modeling its independence movement, whatever is going on.
I am the Ukrainian, the native of Kiev. And now I am on Maidan, on the central part of my city. I want you to know why thousands of people all over my country are on the streets. There is only one reason. We want to be free from a dictatorship. We want to be free from the politicians who work only for themselves, who are ready to shoot, to beat, to injure people just for saving their money, just for saving their houses, just to saving their power. I want these people who are here, who have dignity, who are brave, I want them to live a normal life. We are civilized people, but our governments are barbarians. That's not a Soviet Union. We want our courts not to be corrupted. We want to be free. I know that maybe tomorrow we will have no phone, no internet connection. and we will be alone here. And maybe policemen will murder us one after another when it will be dark here. That's why I ask you now to help us. We have this freedom inside our hearts. We have this freedom in our minds. And now I ask you to build this freedom in our country. You can help us only by telling this story to your friends, only by sharing this video. Please share it. Speak to your friends, speak to your family, speak to your government, and show that you support us.
Okay, so you see, oops, I don't want her eyes closed. There we go. So you'll hear the words, the buzzwords. So free, freedom, democracy, and dictatorship. So these color revolutions were created by the CIA academic named Gene Sharp. So he came up with this color revolution idea. And what it is astroturfing. So it's making a regime change operation look like a grassroots protest movement. And so he's known for this book that's called From Dictatorship to Democracy. So there's those buzzwords, dictatorship. So a dictatorship is any government or any regime that is contrary to some agenda, some neoliberal agenda that's going on. So you'll hear these buzzwords. So she used free, freedom, democracy, dictatorship, and then she has, so the video is in English. This is the thing with the color revolution. So you'll see videos and signage in English to appeal to an outside audience. So she's using these buzzwords in Gene Sharp's book, From Dictatorship to Democracy. So the imagery, you got a young woman talking on camera, and this young woman did very well. This video went viral. And so then they made a documentary afterward called Witness to a Revolution. So she did very well for herself. And I think I've got some information about her. This is just interesting. If it'll come up. Okay, here we go. Yeah. So her name. Wait a minute, where is it? Okay, yeah. So these are the two images. Anyway, this is on my Twitter feed. So I was talking about these two videos and then I posted the images. So I've got the information up here about her, I believe. Yes. Yeah, Yulia Marushevska. That's her name. And then, yeah, so she did very well. So they made that full-length documentary. And she spoke at the Oslo Freedom Forum. So that's one of the regime change NGOs that I've talked about. And they've trained a lot of the Hong Kong assets like Joshua Wong and Denise Ho and the White Helmets, the Islamic State Fire Brigade. So she also went on the talk show circuit in the U.S. and she got an education at Harvard and Stanford, and then she got a cushy job with Porky Poroshenko's government after the Maidan Revolution, and she did very well for herself. And the journalist who made that viral video, his name is Andrei Shevchenko. And when he made that video, He was working for CIA Voice of America, and he is now the Ukrainian ambassador to Canada. So when you are a regime change asset and used for propaganda, you are rewarded handsomely. So anyway, there's that video. Now, this video is very similar. It's a young woman talking on camera and kind of
This is Barcelona, Catalonia, Europe.
This is from 2017.
These people behind me are Catalans. We, the Catalans, are taking back the streets to protest peacefully, over and over again. And why are we doing this? Basically because we're European citizens and we believe in European values, freedom, democracy, and human rights. We, as Catalans, have always stood for social rights, public health, equality for women, and education. We are an open society made up of people from all around the world. We are pacifists, and we have shown this to the world in mass demonstrations. Sadly, all of these values are under attack right now, here in Catalonia, my home. Just a few days ago, October the 1st, the Spanish government deployed thousands of police to stop the independence referendum. They assaulted polling stations. They beat senior citizens and young people. And they seized ballot boxes. What crime had these people committed? Going out to vote. Only asking for their voices to be heard, just like the Scottish did not that long ago. The Catalan government requested many times to the Spanish parliament to agree to a referendum, but Mariano Rajoy rejected any kind of dialogue. As support for independence rocketed, the Catalan parliament made a call for a referendum. The Spanish government declared the vote illegal. Thousands of police were sent to seize ballot papers, raid pro-independence media offices, shut down hundreds of websites, and arrested 14 Catalan government officials without any court orders. As Catalans attempted to vote peacefully, Spanish police used a degree of force never seen before in a European member state. Despite threats and violence, we managed to vote at the end. 2.3 million people, 90% of us in favor of independence. Spanish officials, including the king, have not condemned police violence. Quite the opposite. They have arrested the two leading civil society figures of the pro-independence movement. They are being accused of sedition and face up to 15 years in prison. Further crackdowns are threatened if we continue to pursue our freedom. We are European citizens just like you, and we need your help to defend democracy and freedom. Please, don't look away. What's happening here in Catalonia, it's not a Spanish internal affair. It concerns to each and every European citizen. Share this video with your friends, family, and representatives. Now, before it's too late, help Catalonia. Save Europe. Catalonia, it's not a Spanish internal affair. It concerns to each and every European citizen. Share this video with your friends, family, and representatives. Now, before it's too late, help Catalonia. Save Europe. Catalonia, Europe.
Okay, so there's that video, and there's a lot to say about that video. Hang on, I just want to get that image.
Catalonia.
Oops, don't want to play that again. No. Anyway, so this is on this is a Catalan NGO, Omnium Cultural, and I'll have to talk more about that. But there's some very shady NGOs operating behind this Catalan independence movement, and the money, I don't know where it's coming from. I'm suspecting a lot of people suspect George Soros. It could be other billionaires. Yeah, there's a lot of dark money going on in Catalonia. Sorry, there's dark money in Hong Kong too, but it's really dark money in Catalonia because that's a different kind of operation. So this isn't a European country, and it kind of throws people. So I can't really get into. I will get in. I have to do more than one video on this. I know because there's a lot of information I have, and I will get into. People will say, "Well, why would they do that in Spain?" And it's like, okay, well, I'll save that. I'll kind of save that more for the second video, but I'm just trying to show you why I think there's something funny going on with these protests, and they don't look quite right, the optics. So color revolution, there's certain things that you look for. But anyway, so she's talking, there's a lot of stuff to talk about in this video, and a lot of people have done videos taking it apart, the propaganda and the lies. So my rule is don't never believe the official narrative of anything because they're trying to spin it a certain way. They're trying to, I don't know. So they will show, so some of the things that I noticed there. So she's saying, this is Europe. This is Catalonia. This is Europe. And I'm going, well, okay, Spain is Europe too. And you can tell when they're talking about Europe, it's the EU. So Spain is a member of the EU. And so they're making it sound as though Spain is not European. Spain is not behaving like a European country. So it's all about, it shows, use the buzzwords, democracy, freedom, and human rights. And basically, like the Ukrainian one, is like, okay, we're not barbarians or something. I don't know. That's just the, the message that I'm getting. But what's weird, it's about Catalan identity. But Catalan identity apparently involves open borders and welcoming lots of refugees, which George Soros loves, waves of refugees going into Europe, and apparently has an organization in Catalonia called Open Arms. It's always open something. And so Catalan identity is connected, according to this video, to open borders. That's a neoliberal agenda, and waves of refugees. It's just weird. And she makes the appeal. It's in English again. It's in English. So it's in English, and it's appealing to an outside audience, and she's urging people, your representatives, to help us, help Catalonia and save Europe. Save Europe. Oh my gosh. Save Europe. Anyway, so a lot of people have taken that video apart. One fellow I just found out, I haven't watched all this stuff. There's this young guy. If it'll come up. Yeah. So this guy's name is Tyler Preston. So he's done a number of videos on Catalonia. And I think he's politically on the right, but he's questioning things, so it's interesting. So he's kind of taken these apart. I'm not going to play his videos. I haven't really watched everything but he made me think about, this whole referendum. So so there was an article I found where they talked about this, that Help Catalonia Save Europe video. Yeah, so Help Catalonia, a video full of falsehoods, propaganda-style film by Catalan Independence Association, Omnium Cultural, is based on misinformation. And, I can pick it out. Anybody can. And there's actually been a parody video made of that video. So, the one thing I'm going to talk about here, hang on real quick. So that is an actress. So, so Yulia in the Ukrainian video, she was a student, but the young woman in the Catalan video, she is an actress. Oh, yeah, here's the parody one. It's called I watched this, Save Jaén, which is a city in Andalusia in southern Spain. So that's, Save Jaén, help us. And then, here she is. So her name is Ana Moroni Castillon. And she has worked in New York. She was in some movie called, she had a supporting role in a movie called Zombie Pizza. So she's worked in New York, and I think she got some acting training in New York too. And so this was just a job for her. So she's an actress. So that's what that's about. But anyway, a lot of people have taken that video apart. So this article, it's from a Spanish news outlet. Um, so it denounces, the video denounces the Spanish central government for attacking what it describes as Catalan human rights. And, oh yeah, and it mentions that it's modeled after, the recording takes inspiration from a Ukrainian video that was circulated in February 2014 and which called on the European Union for help in the face of a serious crisis that the country was going through at the time. So the propaganda-style video portrays Catalonia in almost a state of war, where residents of the northeastern Spanish region are submitted to supposed state repression. A woman speaks in anguish on behalf of all Catalans to a European audience to call on the EU not to forget about the region. Sorry. So the thing is, both of those videos show a lot of police brutality, and that's what they do in Hong Kong too. So they always frame everything. This is this marginal violence theory. So you provoke the police enough, you create a situation of tension. So, the police are dealing with a situation where they get meeting with a lot of resistance. And so it doesn't make the police always look in such a very favorable light. And that is the goal. That is the goal. So, and there are falsehoods in the videos. So in Catalonia, the values of freedom, democracy, human rights, and social rights are being attacked. So Spain is a democracy. It's not perfect. And the courts uphold the rule of law and the division of powers. In addition, the country has signed all UN agreements on human rights and freedoms, is a member of the European Union and the Council of Europe, and is a signatory of all agreements on human rights and freedom of the latter two bodies. Yeah, forget the freedom of that CIA, sorry. So, Spain is flawed, deeply flawed. Europe is deeply flawed. European countries are deeply flawed. So, let's say, okay, so the video said, what crime had these people committed? Going out to vote. The video refers to the independence referendum held on October 1st, previously suspended by the Constitutional Court. It suggests that the National Police and Civil Guard intervention was aimed at preventing citizens' right to vote. But in fact, the police were enforcing a judicial ruling to prevent the referendum, which was illegal. They did this in the face of the inaction of the region's police force, Mossos d'Esquadra, I don't know, who refused to act. So that's the Catalan police force. That's what they're called. So I have read a little bit about the Spanish Constitution. So there were some changes made to the autonomous status of Catalonia in 2006, I think. And then the Spanish Constitutional Court struck those down, or some of them. And so there were protests in response. So this is the thing. In the Spanish Constitution, an autonomous region cannot simply declare, can't simply just unilaterally hold a referendum and declare independence. And so this referendum was being forced, and people believed that it was intentional to create violence and to smear the Spanish government. So anyway, that's why I don't believe the official narrative. So I have looked into this Spanish constitutional situation. So Catalonia, when they patched together democracy after the Franco-fascism. Francisco Franco was a fascist dictator until he died in the mid 70s, and then they created a constitutional monarchy in Spain, and all the regions got together and they created the constitution, and so there was autonomy. But the regions cannot unilaterally declare independence like that or hold a referendum. So it was considered illegal. Constitutional court said it was illegal, and so the police had to go and seize the ballot boxes, and things got ugly. And unfortunately, there was some violence, but it's been grossly exaggerated. I mean, it was bad, but it wasn't. No one was killed. No one's been killed. No one's been killed in Hong Kong. No one's been killed in Catalonia. No, nobody's been killed. Anyway, the Spanish government declared the vote illegal. In Spain, the executive branch does not have the power to outlaw a referendum. It was the Constitutional Court, the ultimate interpreter of the Spanish Constitution, that suspended the poll on independence from going ahead. Thousands of police were sent to raid pro-independence media offices and shut down hundreds of websites. The police did not attack the media or shut down websites. What happened between September 30th and October 1st was that Civil Guard officers entered the Catalan Center for Telecommunications and Information Technology to comply with the order from the Catalan Regional High Court to block websites that tried to facilitate the vote and the vote count. Officers had previously entered the offices of the weekly newspaper El Valence because ballot papers were being printed there. Okay. So the thing is, the official narrative, I had a bad impression of what the Spanish government had done. And to us, it seems really strange, but I understand the Spanish Constitution better, quite frankly, and I understand that this was a forced referendum. So Puigdemont, the leader, the head of the Catalan government at the time, and other leaders, they were trying to force this referendum on the public. They were bound and determined to do this. And Puigdemont, I think he even removed members of his cabinet who weren't on board. So this was his agenda. So the police arrested 14 Catalan government officials without any court orders. This is a completely false statement. The Civil Guard arrested 14 people on September 20th for their alleged participation in the organization of the independence referendum. Of those, 11 occupied a public role, while 3 were private citizens who were arrested for the alleged involvement of the illegal poll. They were the director of the multinational, the manager of an advertising agency, and the owner of a warehouse where referendum voting slips were found. The officers did not act without a court. A judge in Barcelona ordered the operation. So the courts were, it was a constitutional ruling that the referendum on independence was illegal. So that's why the police were sent in. So it says, Spanish police used a degree of force never before seen in a European Union member state. The government sent the National Police and the Civil Guard to stop the independence referendum from going ahead on October 1st. Human Rights Watch, that's an NGO that's kind of dodgy, has stated that on some occasions, the officers used excessive force in 3 analyzed cases on the day of the vote. Those were in the Catalan city of Girona, in Barcelona, and in a town in Girona province. So they're different parts of Catalonia. The European Commission denounced the violence exercised by the police at some polling stations. Indeed, the images from that day showed that there were injuries as a result of the police charge. Here we go. So there were no deaths. So anybody's talking about deaths? No, there were no deaths. There have been no deaths in Hong Kong or in Catalonia. Unlike other places where there are real protests and some color revolutions can get pretty bloody, but no deaths in Catalonia, no deaths in Hong Kong. However, the regional government stated that 893 people were injured and that this number of injuries has not existed in Europe since World War II. That total is questionable because out of all those people, only 4 needed hospital treatment, 2 with minor injuries, and 2 in a serious condition. Just to cite a recent case, the G20 riots held last July, now this would have been in 2017, in Hamburg, resulted in the injuries of around 1,000 people. So grossly exaggerated. I mean, the imagery is bad, but the facts are very different. Okay, so 90% of Catalans voted in favor of independence. This figure is distorted and refers to the result made public by the Catalan government. But the vote took place without any democratic guarantees, and as such, the count cannot be validated. It cannot be assumed that 90% of Catalans are in favor of independence, according to data from the Catalan government. So there were over 2 million people who voted out of a total census of over 5 million, meaning that participation was at 43% of the total census. Of these, 90% voted yes to independence. That means that only only less than 40% of the census voted yes to independence. Now, people have argued that if there were an independence referendum held now, and they do plan to hold another one within the next couple of years, I think. That's what they got. So because of the imagery and the backlash, I think there is more support for independence now. So they don't have a majority of people who are solidly behind independence, but there's this kind of swing vote. So this is the problem with the referendum too, I'm going to say. The referendum, a lot of people didn't want anything to do with the referendum. They just didn't. They knew it was dangerous, it was illegal, and a lot of people, they don't want independence. They're kind of, they want autonomy, but they want something better, but they don't necessarily want a clean break from Spain. So a lot of people stayed away. Another thing about the vote is there were reports, a lot of irregularities. So they were stuffing the ballot boxes. So people were finding things like when they go to the voting booth, there were ballots there that are already marked. And there were lots of voting irregularities. There was a big problem with that vote. So don't believe the figures that they're saying about it. So, okay, the video also said it concerns each and every European citizen. The video insists on involving Europe in the Catalan question. However, all EU institutions have concluded that this is internal Spanish matter. The president of the European Commission, Jean-Claude Juncker, has stated that the Commission complies with what the Constitution and the Spanish Parliament says. The president of the European Parliament, Antonio Tajani, has stressed that if a part of a member state proclaims itself independent, it automatically becomes a third state and leaves the European Union. But this is the thing about the Catalan independence movement. They want to be part of the EU. They don't want to leave the EU. And this is like the Scottish independence movement too. They don't want to leave the EU. Anyway, so we as Catalans, so in the video, the woman who appears in the video claims to speak on behalf of all Catalans. The massive demonstration in Barcelona on October 8th in Barcelona, which was called in defense of the Spanish Constitution and the unity of Spain, shows that not all Catalans subscribe to the sentiments expressed in the video. Yeah, so it's divided, and, it's been argued that they would probably win the independence vote now just because the optics have been so bad, and so it's turned a lot of people off from the Spanish government. But that's intentional. That's what they wanted. That's what Puigdemont and the others just pushing for independence and pushing it so much that they create conflict with the Spanish government and they create these scenes of. So that was back in 2017. And I found some other interesting things. So I'm going to talk about this is an interesting article from the Duran by Alexander Mikuris. And this is from 2017. So I'm still just talking about 2017. Although, there, the similar sort of thing is going on now, but worse, more violence. So 8 points about the crisis in Catalonia. So this is very good. So here's an image from 2017. And look at this. There's the Statue of Liberty. So whenever they use English, so the symbols are very interesting. So it's all about freedom, democracy, and human rights. And they always got their hands up in the air. So in Hong Kong, they'll have the hands for the 5 demands or whatever. So the imagery is very interesting. So you have a lot of flags and things, and yeah, Statue of Liberty. So it's very different. You'll see a lot of professional signage in these color revolutions, and you don't see that in the Yellow Vest movement. There's just people in the streets. Anyway, so this is about 2017, and it talks about 8 points about the crisis in Catalonia. Okay, 2017. So the illegality of the independence referendum does matter. Yeah, so the crisis was triggered by Puigdemont and his government to call the referendum unconstitutional, illegal. So, yeah, I mean, that's just the way the Spanish Constitution is. So if they, my argument is if you let Catalonia just, say, okay, we're gone, then the Basque country, the Basque they would quickly leave, and so Spain would fall apart. So, I mean, there's a reason for that constitution, and it's about national sovereignty. Yeah, so this is about the integrity of the Spanish borders, I guess, but the Catalan independence movement is really hell bent on open borders. Is weird. Yeah, so the Maidan, they overthrew a government that was just democratically elected. So in Catalonia, they want to basically overthrow the Spanish constitution. So it's a regime change operation. It just is. Um, so it's an interesting article. So, the people have legitimate grievances in Hong Kong and in Catalonia, but these are orchestrated. People are manipulated. It's a psyop, and it fools a lot of people. Like, there are people who know that Hong Kong is fake, but they don't realize that the Catalan independence movement has got a lot of the same characteristics of a psyop, psychological operation. And this propaganda is very effective, the imagery and everything. Okay. So, violence. Yeah, so the violence, it's sort of orchestrated. They want this violence. So it's this marginal violence theory to provoke the police. And I mean, the courts had ordered the police to go shut down the referendum, unfortunately. And yeah, it's just the way they're trying to make it sound like the Spanish government is just behaving exactly the way the Franco regime did, but no, that's kind of stretching it. Well, yeah, they're pushing for independence, so they're not pushing for. I think that's the thing with the Spanish government. They know something's wrong with this independence movement. So, I mean, they're willing to negotiate autonomy. So, I don't know. It's a good article. I'm not going to read all this, but it goes through the points about, yeah. Yeah, even they pointed out that even in Ukraine, the president Yanukovych, he tried to negotiate, but they were just, you know, were hell bent on kicking him out. And no, it's not a major crisis for Spain or Europe. So, they're not even taking into consideration people outside of Spain or the people who aren't Catalan in Catalonia, I guess. Um, so Russia does not support, and China doesn't. No, yeah. So anyway, um, the um, the prime minister of Spain is now Perez. So different prime minister, and the other thing that there's an election coming up in November, and this is gonna make things more difficult for that. That might be deliberate too. So this is another interesting article. It's only talking about Hong Kong and why a lot of people are supporting the Hong Kong protests because people see protests and they think, oh, people are being oppressed. No, so yeah, there's these buzzwords when they talk about dictatorship. They always refer to countries like Maduro dictatorship in Venezuela, the Assad dictatorship in Syria, things like that. So it's really obvious in Hong Kong, and who the players are. It's a little less obvious and more mysterious in Catalonia. But I will show there are some things going on, and I will have to get into possibly why. I have some ideas about what's going on, what might be going on. Um, so they're definitely billionaires. They're NGOs. So there are regime change NGOs operating. Probably the backing of George Soros and maybe other billionaires. I don't know. Um, so it's like protest in a box. Yeah. So this is like, um, it's like a revolution made to order. So they talk about protest in a box. Yeah. So you're seeing a lot of that. The same thing right now. Same sort of, they're using the same violence, same methods as in Hong Kong. I'll get into that more. Yeah, sudden color violence. So these protests in Catalonia, they started up violent right away, right away. Not everybody. There's just, like in Hong Kong, there's this hardcore group, and some brought in from outside. I don't know if everybody is brought in from outside. So there's a lot of that going on. So they immediately started attacking the infrastructure in Catalonia. It was like blocking the airport, blocking roads, sabotaging the train service. Yeah. Um, oops. I hate that when it starts going crazy when I'm trying to scroll. Okay. It went back to the top. Great. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. And, yeah, this information warfare. Yeah, like they're showing the police violence. That's the thing. Police violence. So, yeah, it's an interesting article. Anyway, so that's just what I wanted to say about why something doesn't look right in Catalonia. And I've got a lot more to say. So it's sort of it's a hijacking of democracy, clearly in Catalonia. And I'll show you this if it'll come up. Yeah, in Hong Kong, like they have democracy, and they're claiming that China is taking away their democracy. They had no democracy when under British colonial rule. So these are the images of the rally. So this was in Hong Kong. This is in Barcelona, the protest rallies. So I don't think they were very big. I don't think they're very big. Yeah, there. So it's all orchestrated, this. And they even had, see, there's the flag of Tibet. So it's very anti-Chinese. Anti-Chinese, yeah. So that's interesting. It's very anti-Chinese. Very anti-Chinese rally in Barcelona. Very anti-Chinese. The protests in Hong Kong are very anti-Chinese, even though the people there are Chinese. So there were some Chinese in Barcelona who held up a sign in Catalan that Hong Kong will always be a part of China, or is still a part of China. Yeah, Hong Kong is still China. I don't know. It's Catalan. Um, yeah, and that's the image of China. So they're holding up Catalan flags. And keep calm because Catalonia is not Spain. That's the thing. They'll say Hong Kong is not China, Catalonia is not Spain. So they're using the same wording. They use the exact same wording or very similar wording. So that's what doesn't look quite right. So I've got a lot more to say about Hong Kong and China. So let's just say Catalonia is hijacked democracy, and there's something about the optics and all the methods and propaganda, and I guess, yeah, never believe the official narrative. That's the thing about any of these things. So yeah, so democracy has been hijacked in Catalonia, and it's like a bait and switch. So people are getting drawn into the streets to protest, but they don't really know what's going on behind the scenes, I guess. Anyway, that's all I've got to say for now. So thank you for your patience, and I will talk to you again soon. Oh yeah, one more thing, because I have software problems. I'm just gonna keep recording, so I'll just show the links that I have again. So I've had a problem with the videos cutting off early anyway. So thanks for your patience. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.